By special arrangement with United Artists Corporation, Magnetic Video Corporation is proud to offer the following special video presentation.
Hello, I'm the individual alternatively known as Sir Topham Hackray. Others know me as Frank, and I guess you can now add Dr. Rena to the pile as well. Before I start this video, I highly recommend that you pause this video, listen to the rap EP that is self-titled underneath the Dr. Rena stage fursona, for lack of a better term. Listen to the entire thing, and then come back to this video, as knowing about that album or EP or whatever is crucial to the understanding of this particular video. Anyway, in this video, I will explain to you how, what, and why about my recent rap EP and that I had made and the stage fursona that is closely associated with it. I will try to explain and answer any potential questions people may have as I am making this video before the EP's official release. So please leave a comment if you have any unanswered questions, and I will try to respond with an appropriate answer. Now to explain the what question. So what is Dr. Rena? The short answer is that he is a gangsta Digimon dentist who beefs with a children's dental mascot. The long answer, however, is a bit more Fumo Funky Fresh than that. Anyway, Dr. Rena is a male Renamon. Naturally, he was born from a Digi-Egg in eastern Massachusetts to a currently unnamed Tamer and her family. He would grow up with her, eventually Digivolving into a Renamon, and decide to leave his family to become a dentist. But a series of events would lead him to form a street gang to represent Oral-B in the ongoing struggle to fuck up Colgate cultists and their leader, Dr. Rabbit. Dr. Rena is also crooked, as he's known to take money off of people's insurance for his own gain, as well as participating in arms trafficking and making money off of drug dealing via his accomplice, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Yes, that RFK Jr. I will explain RFK's role in the lore later. Dr. Rena likes to get sexual, but hates being sexualized, as he thinks that Renamon's portrayal in adult settings is a very harmful stereotype, and he thinks it's racist, and he will beat the living shit out of you for doing so, as evident in the EP's second song. So that's the character bio out of the way. The meta what question is that this is my stage fursona, and I make music, or as my mom calls it, beat poetry with extra steps. The music is told from his perspective, which sometimes reflects my own, but most of the time is a bespoke personality separate from my own experiences. So that's that, I suppose. Now, on to the more interesting why part. So why is Dr. Rena a dentist? Why is Dr. Rena a Renamon? Why did you start making music, despite the fact it is actually just musical slam poetry?
You know, one thing I should...
So the first two questions are easy to answer. Introducing Mark 3611 and Bacon. These two individuals is what inspired me to invent the Dr. Rena character in the first place. So I'm going to do the latter one first because it's more potentially controversial and I just need to get that out of the way first so I can get that shit off my chest, you feel me? Okay, here we go. Anyway, Bacon is a 3D modeler and furry artist, and how should I put this as mildly possible on the sort of content she makes? Oh yeah, she makes... So Bacon makes a lot of NSFW stuff, And I won't confirm nor deny her works made my neurons activate in my monkey brain, nor I will comment on my opinions on her work. I plead the fifth, Your Honor, show me the science, and if you guys do, I will pull an RFK Jr. and deny that shit like how United Health denies their clientele. She focuses a lot on Digimon-related stuff, and thus that inspired me to make Dr. Rena, well, a Renamon for a better way to, write that in the script. It is also because of Bacon that I gave Dr. Rena an intense hatred for seeing his kind being sexually objectified, just to really stick it to her, and the NSFW furry art community, because Dr. Rena is inherently subversive by design, and yes, Dr. Rena will subvert the already subversive, which is kind of, we're not going to dwell on that. In fact, if Dr. Rena was a real bio-digital fox person, he would probably have some very choice words for Bacon, some of which may not be pleasant if they met. So, yeah. Anyway, now for the fun part, Mark 3611. Mark 3611's name would probably make some people perk up, especially if they were around when YouTube Poop was in its heyday back many years ago. In fact, Mark 3611 is the reason why Dr. Rena is a dentist in the first place, as well as the fact that YouTube Poop plays a crucial part in the influence of the lyrics in the song. Specifically, we're going to talk about the YouTube Poop titled Dr. Rabbit, Thy Kingdom Come.
Behold the King of Kings.
This YouTube Poop is a total recontextualization of the Colgate animated short Dr. Rabbit's World Tour, which is about a cartoon rabbit dental hygienist and his globetrotting adventures of meeting random kids and talking to them about having good dental hygiene. So the plot of the YouTube Poop is completely different. It is instead about Dr. Rabbit and his plan to take over the world by launching his rabbit rockets at the humans. He travels to Europe, in which he insults Spain and says he'd rather be somewhere else like Palermo or Krakow. He then goes to Africa to re-establish slavery, as Dr. Rabbit believes in neo-colonialism. He then goes to the Middle East with predictable results, before going to Asia to blow up the Great Wall of China and engaging in some Gary Glitter, Chris Tyrone type shit, before going to Australia to try and obtain some crack, and then goes to the United States to blow up the White House as America's the arch nemesis of all lagomorphic creatures for whatever reason. And then the YouTube Poop finishes by Dr. Rabbit banning soccer and making his human victims sing the World Conquest theme song. This YouTube Poop is one of my favorites, and this video is exactly why Dr. Rena is a dentist, but is also the reason why Dr. Rabbit is the antagonist, and why Dr. Rena reps for Oral-B, because the only thing stopping Dr. Rabbit from taking over the world is a fucking Digimon with a Mac 11 and a college degree. Another influence on Dr. Rena is also ICP, otherwise known as Insane Clown Posse. These two dudes, Violent J and Shaggy 2Dope, inspired Dr. Rena in the sense that they invented the X but Gangsta template. In fact, much like ICP, Dr. Rena falls into this category because he is gangsta, but he's a dentist. I also like juggalos, and I like furries, so maybe I just like special interest groups that people either dismiss or just underappreciate them. So, there's that to consider. To answer the how, as in how did I make Dr. Rena, it all starts in the shower, in which I have my nightly autistic stimming sessions, and Dr. Rena came about because I was thinking about Bacon's furry art, as well as ICP and MF Doom, and I was giggling to myself how funny it would be to have a music career based off of a derivative furry OC whose gimmick is being a gangsta dentist. I then sat on this idea for a few days where it continued to swim in my head. Then one night, after seeing the third Sonic movie with my father, I was like, fuck it, let's send it. So I showed off my idea to a friend of mine who doubted with me, and I low-key wanted to do it, and I joked around with him, and he was like, fuck it, just do it. And I was like, okay. So I got out a notebook, wrote a small song, and recorded it late at night, and this became the demo version of the song Intro to Dentistry, which was an introduction to the Dr. Rena character, established his personality, and the gimmick. Then it just evolved from there, becoming into a 4-song EP with a couple more, just, for a potential single or an album full of odds and ends later on that I made as Dr. Rena. So yeah, what started as a personal shit post became something bigger, kind of like Silva Gunner in that regard. And now we can finally discuss in depth the music of Dr. Rena in my, or rather his self-titled EP. As the creator, I'm just going to say it's mine, so yeah. Intro to Dentistry is the first song of the EP and introduces the listener to Dr. Rena, the titular character. The song goes over his shtick, some of his personality traits, and is only about 55 seconds long. This and the next song were recorded with improved lyrics for the EP, and I do plan on releasing the original versions, but I don't know how to release something that is essentially prototype musical works. Plus, both of the original demo versions really fucking suck. So, who knows? This song is the simplest and the shortest, but this is my first original lyrical piece, and so this song exists mostly to dip the old toe beans, if you know what I'm saying. Yeah. Tamers Just Don't Understand is two things. One is a more honest attempt at writing a song, and the other is that it's a parody of a Will Smith song. Fun fact about the parody's beat is that the first section's beat is actually copied and pasted over the second part's beat and was shortened so I could get rid of some of the unneeded sound effects used in the original instrumental. Plus the song's a bit on the short end, so thus the song the instrumental needed to be shortened. The original reason why I chose this song to be parodied was twofold. One is that I've always wanted to do a rendition of this song as it's one of my favorite Will Smith pieces, and the other is to right the wrongs of the original song while also finding a way to shit on Will Smith. In case you don't know about the song's original second part, is that it's about Will Smith stealing his parents' Porsche, which is fine by me, by the way. But the part where he picks up a girl and gets caught by the police only to find out that she is underage always bothered me, and I hated this part of the song, so I removed it in the parody with a more original piece. The first part of the song is about Dr. Rena's tamer taking him out to the mall with a few friends, including Gillimon and RFK Jr., the latter of whom will be important and will be explained later, so consider this foreshadowing. The song lists the Timo Mall in the original demo and is considered the canon lyric, and it still is, but I autocorrected to the Natick Mall as an Audrian method of basing Dr. Rena in the real world, which would later become a part of the official canon, even though I'm still kinda hesitant to completely base it in the real world. Anyway, the song establishes the key personality trait of Dr. Rena is that he doesn't like being sexualized, as evident by his female tamer buying him adult activity peripherals, and Dr. Rena is absolutely not having it. My favorite lyric is this. And she lost her mind. He fucked up real bad. I asked for a Pepsi and she bought me lube. This lyric references the original song, but also references Institutionalized by the band Suicidal Tendencies. In that song, the lead singer, Mikey, requests his mother for a Pepsi, only to be accused of doing drugs and is institutionalized, which is an experience that I heavily identify with personally. The next set of lyrics worth talking about is this. I told her to put the toys back, please, only for her to smoke crack and say I need some sleeves. I said, this isn't Rule 34, come on, I'm not bacon. I only wanted to point this out because I intentionally shouted out bacon, because without her, Dr. Rena could have been a Sonic or a really bad Sonic recolor, for all I know. Next, I rhyme gimp suit, trousers, and Mauser together because at this point, if the person who raised you and was raised with you starts talking about sex, you too would start biting down on a German pistol barrel. The section ends on the excuse of a hook. There's no space to argue, Tamers just don't understand. The next section begins and runs right out of the gate with this. So here's the situation. We both went to the Station Square City for the Hostess Awards Committee. This is a double-barreled reference. The first is for Sonic Adventure, as Station Square is one of the game's main 3 hub sections. The second refers to the YouTube poop work of a man named Corey Schuster, otherwise known as CS188. Specifically, his Foundation repair-related videos as Ho-Sis is a reversal joke based on the name of said foundation repair company, as their ads were used as the source for his YouTube poops.
Then you should call horses.
The song continues as Dr. Rena is having a good time with his tamer until a certain Swedish streamer shows up. Yes, the Chris Rock of our story walks in, and it's none other than Varg Skeletor himself, Vinesauce Joel. The song states that Joel is telling some really shit jokes on the stage, only for him to notice Dr. Rena and start making sex jokes at his expense. So, imagine for a moment, you're in Dr. Rena's lab coat for a moment, you're at an award ceremony, and then a hack comedian comes up who's only famous for destroying Windows OSs and making Ghostbuster parodies, and he starts making jokes that are based on preconceived stereotypes of Renamons. Imagine if a streamer started making racist jokes about you and how your kind is always horny and is always either getting or giving the D. That would make you angry, right? But not like cancel this guy on Twitter mad. No, it makes you physical assault mode mad. You'd probably want to start fucking knocking his teeth in, right? Well, that's what Dr. Rena does, and I'll let the song speak for itself. I strolled up stage and I slapped the troll. I backhanded him like a pimp Mac Daddy. He said it was a joke and a prank. Why? Did you snort coke with Vinny and Norts? This is one of my favorite rhymes because I layered the words joke, snort, coke, and Norts. I just love this particular verse. But when Dr. Rena sits back down and he's whipped by his tamer with a literal leather whip, and I couldn't find a suitable word that rhymes with Confederate, and slave was way too on the nose. Even if the final lyric is still very much on the nose, the song closes out on this hook, and that's that. And on a separate note, all I can imagine is that Joel is on that stage and he's freestyling a Ghostbuster parody at Renamon's expense, and I bet it would sound something like, Day at the Clinic hails the return back to original musical work, and this time it's a day in the life of type deal about a day at Dr. Rena's clinic. The song starts about the kinds of people that come to the office, and even a bit about how Dr. Rena doesn't like it when people don't pay their insurance. Remember, Dr. Rena is a criminal working in the healthcare industry. The only difference is that Dr. Rena doesn't hide behind the pretenses and actually does gang shit and will kill people. This is foreshadowing. The first client to come is Luigi Mario, who is on the run because Yoshi's health insurance got denied and that he is the United Health shooter. Because Dr. Rena is an OG, he gives him some steel and lead in his goodie bag, which means that Dr. Rena is giving Luigi a gun and ammo to help him escape the heat. Anyway, the next guy who walks in is Sir Topham Hatt, the controller of the Northwestern Railway, and the two verses that revolve around the Fat Controller is political commentary on the British healthcare system, as he takes NHS and Dr. Rena tells him to come back in 22 months. Now, why is an American talking about the NHS like it's a part of his normal life? I don't fucking know, ask someone else, they'll have a better answer. The next two verses is about Dr. Rena hitting on the chick from Road to El Dorado, as Chell comes in for dental meds or some shit, for her friends, and Dr. Rena fails the charisma check because while Dr. Rena likes to pull bitches, it's still a 50-50 kind of thing for him as to how and when he succeeds in catching a baddie. Anyway, Chell slaps Dr. Rena, and I compared it to Bernie Stoller's performance at Sega, because that bastard did more to bankrupt Sega than the guy he took over from. You're not my dad, Saturn Dave. I can have dissenting opinions on the people who worked at Sega, and it's absolutely okay. Anyway, the song doesn't have a hook, but kind of a weird bridge thing in the form of, spend my days at the clinic cleaning cynics and making bank. Skanks get half off while I tell brokies to fuck right off. Can you tell I'm self-taught and I'm just experimenting as I go along? So the last client comes in, and you won't believe this, it's motherfucking Shaggy 2-Dope. Now, his voice doesn't actually appear here, he doesn't feature in this song, that's because I'm an absolute nobody and I don't have any money, so this is basically just Dr. Rena recounting the time that he went there. Anyway, to explain the Oral Holes lyric, and why Shaggy Chewed Up is kind of an asshole in this, it's because, well, I'm gonna do the formal first. Oral holes refers to him having cavities, and he's there to get his cavities filled by Dr. Rena, and those cavities were caused by excessive Faygo consumption, and him being a jerk is based on a assumption that juggalos don't like being separated from their sugary soft drink of their choice, even though they're being told by an actual dentist. Again, this thing is based off of an entirely wrong assumption that I might have. I could be wrong. If anyone wants to debate me and tell me otherwise, you can. I know Shaggy Chewed Up in real life is a really awesome chat of a person who's really nice, but like, yeah, this is done for creative reasons more often than not. The song ends on Dr. Rena saying he's going to do a drive-by on Colgate turf and that he uses a Mac 11 as his main weapon of choice. This then leads to the final song of the EP, which is Oral-B Drive-By is perhaps the most serious, darkest, and most on-the-nose, stereotypical gangsta thing to rap about. As such, the song has an overbearing sense of dread because turf battles and gang shootouts are serious business. People could, will, and do die. So this is played absolutely straight. This song also makes use of sound effects, which adds to the overall real vibe that this song is going for. Dr. Rena comes home and meets with the gang, which consists of 2 Digimon, Gatomon and Apemon, a woman named Archaea, and RFK Jr. The Digimon are self-explanatory. The Archaea chick is really just there to add a 3rd or 4th member, depending on how you look at the album sort of chronologically. And so I could add a character with a name that rhymes with Argentina for a joke that I did later on in the song. RFK Jr., however, is there for 2 different reasons. The first is that it's really funny to have a man who hates things that are fluoridated only to rep a street gang whose core element is being a brand of fluoridated toothpaste, which adds a nice layer of irony. The second is simple in the fact that I figured out how to impersonate his rather unique voice, which I explained in a previous video. Hi, editor's note, I forgot to film the video that was going to be a YouTube short on how to impersonate RFK Jr. So you know the slug woman from Monsters, Inc.? So you gotta do this voice, you know, Mike Wazowski, you're late on filing your paperwork. Okay, so you do that, you combine it with this, you know, this little Adam's apple trill that Tom Kenny does when he does the SpongeBob mouth. Hey, Mr. Krabs, you're an asshole. Ah! So you combine the Monsters, Inc. voice with the SpongeBob neck thing, and hey, I don't like fluoridated things. Mr. Kennedy is mad, and he's gonna ban all the things that are fluoridated. That's all you gotta do. It's not not a super accurate impersonation, but it gets the job done. Now back to the video. The Oral-B crew lays down their plan and the weapons are broken out. Introducing us to Archaea's main purpose in this and future songs is that her joke is that she has a lot of elderly, so-called Argentinian family members that she gets stuff from. In this case, it's an MP40, and I'll let the song tell you about its origin. She said her grandfather from Argentina asked Archaea if she was caring to share his name. She said Hermann Goering. Get it? Her family's full of Nazis! That's the joke! Yes, it's a Dan Schneider level iCarly kind of joke, but that's her gimmick. It's then followed up by an even worse boomer dad joke made by Dr. Rena. Dr. Rena did not see that coming. The song continues after the big-lipped alligator moment passes, and we get to the drive-by part. In one verse, it is revealed that Dr. Rena canonically drives a Volvo, specifically the C90 sedan. This is because Volvos have stupidly high safety standards in terms of features and build quality. This would be a really safe choice for drive-bys if real-life street gangs actually knew anything about picking cars, not based on its looks, but for its qualities of being a functional tool of power projection. There is a reason why the US Navy doesn't cheap out on its boats, especially its aircraft carriers, but that is outside of the scope of this video. Check out these guys if you want to know more. Go there. After a musical break, RFK Jr. spots Dr. Rabbit and his cronies, and well, I'll just let the song show you. We patrolled the enemy hood, till Robert F. Kennedy said, "Look, over there!" We spotted the rabbit and his Colgate cronies. I lowered the windows and let the firearms blow.
Hello there! Oh, no.
So about this particular section is I do my RFK Jr. impersonation here, and the shootout scene was done entirely using dialogue lines taken from Dr. Rabbit's World Tour. The rest of the song was about how they succeeded and how they went to a safe house to weather the heat for the night. However, the whole gang doesn't make it out completely safe, and if you know anything about American history, it will definitely not surprise you here. The intensity was a necessity, instilling Oberl supremacy, but the enemy got Kennedy Jr. and gave him lead vasectomy. Could be worse, like the Dallas surprise that put his nephew into a hearse. Perhaps the family curse. Of course RFK the sequel gets hit in the balls, but this was done to hang a lampshade on the bad juju his family has historically had since the 1960s, but also because male private parts are inherently funny, and slapstick revolves around pain in the dichotomy of misery and comedy. But regardless, he is fine, and the seriousness of the song requires that this is also played straight, but the whole irony of the situation is that this gang war is predicated on fucking toothpaste brands, which the whole thing is commentary on the fact that American culture is based on the consumption of goods and media, which is what this is making fun of. Fuck your cola wars, fuck your horsepower wars, stupid console wars, and especially your goddamn Star Wars. Basing our entire culture on consuming shit is bad. End of report. Here, I'll finish out the song for you by playing the last verse. Best believe I'll smack a chud who's buds with the Colgate, or people who think they're sensible for using Sensodyne. Either dine with us or die tonight. Dr. Rena here fighting what should be right for teeth that should be bright. While it's poetic as fuck, remember this is coming from a Renamon wearing a lab coat and scrubs. Also, fun fact, I use Sensodyne in real life, so Dr. Rena would definitely hate me for that. But here's the thing, he isn't real. He is a fictional, original character who's from a Japanese intellectual property from a corporation that refers to itself as Bandai Namco. Also, by extension, Toei Animation. Since I'm having a chicken and egg problem regarding who actually made Digimon, I'm having trouble figuring out if Digimon's a Toei invention or a Bandai one. So if anyone knows anything better, please explain it in the comments, and I will add an addendum later on. I don't know. Before I end this video, there were some things I want to get off my chest. I know I don't know a whole lot about Digimon, except for what I know from cultural osmosis and whatever I learned from. So it's a learning process for sure. That, and I want to thank my friends for supporting me on this creative bender, which managed to cure my creative drought. I'd like to thank my friend the Rich King for giving me the words I needed to hear to continue and to do Dr. Rena as an ongoing thing. I also like to thank him for featuring Dr. Rena in his latest album as of the production of this video. And the track in which I am featured is going to be in a card in the video above. Even though he kind of released it before I was able to release the EP, and I was a little worried because I don't use autotune in my videos, or rather in the Dr. Rena music, because I just think autotune just doesn't sound right for the kind of sound that I want to have. So there's that. I'd also like to thank Bacon and Mark3611 personally. Without them and my autism, Dr. Rena would have never been a thing. I'd also like to thank my mom Alexis for supporting this endeavor and not Nancy Reaganing me like I feared she would. I'd also like to thank my subscribers for sticking with me through this journey, and I do promise more content, even if it's more heavily weighted towards Dr. Rena. Cheers and good night.